Welcome to the award-winning RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Draftkings and Chalkboard. It is Friday, October 17th. Alex Barutha here, Shannon McEwen, and Ken K-Train Kreitz.
All aboard!
Today, we're going to talk about some news, and then we're getting into bold predictions that will not be wrong. There's zero chance of incorrect picks for our bold predictions. And we are going to talk about some of our favorite best ball picks at the very end of the show. So if you're a best ball drafter, or even just you in some redraft leagues and you want some sleepers, good to listen all the way through. But let's start. Reed Sheppard had a monster game last night for the Houston Rockets. 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks, 5 threes. Houston rested all of their other starters, but the Hawks played 4 of their regular starters. Ken, Sheppard has been going in some leagues. He'll go around pick 100. In some more aggressive leagues, people are taking him around pick 75. Where do you start thinking about Reed Sheppard in drafts?
Not at pick number 5, but boy, anything after 75, I definitely start thinking. I mean, 100 available at 100 is crazy. Starting point, possible starting point guards at 100 is a dream come true. I mean, the big question is, who's going to lead this team in assists? Will it be Sengun? Will it be Amen? Or will it be Reed Sheppard? Or will it be somebody new every night? I don't think we really know. At first, the stat line for Sheppard is amazing, but then you realize everybody else was benched. So certainly a great confidence booster. Makes me feel better about grabbing them at 70, 75, 80. But boy, they didn't play anybody else. Torrey Eason didn't even play in this game. Was probably going to come off the bench. So hard to judge.
Yeah, I still love Reed Sheppard. A couple weeks back, I'd mentioned I think he was a league-winning pick when his ADP was around 120 to 130 back then. I was comfortable drafting him in the 90 to 100 range. That's still the range I like to draft him in. It is interesting to see what the Rockets are doing this preseason. They had Sheppard come off the bench the other day and went with a big lineup with Steven Adams at center, Durant, Jabari Smith, who else was it? Amen Thompson, and who was the fifth guy? But it was a gigantic lineup. It was like Amen Thompson was the smallest guy by a significant measure. Kevin Durant was the shooting guard in that lineup. It might have been Eason, who was the fifth starter. But I'm sorry, it was Sengun. They started Steven Adams and Sengun. So are they going to go with a wild, gigantic starting lineup like that some nights, or maybe on opening night? It's kind of to be determined. I think Sheppard should still be considered the de facto first point guard for that team, or the combo guard alongside Amen Thompson. I'm comfortable picking him 80 to 90. I don't know if I'm going to go any higher than that.
When they start Amen and Eason, they are the tallest starting unit in the NBA. I saw that somewhere on the crazy internets.
Well, and this lineup was even taller because it had Steven Adams in over Eason. It's wild.
Shannon, we had a Bucks player sign an extension.
Oh yeah, I suppose I can talk about that. So AJ Green for the Bucks agreed to a 4-year, $45 million extension. Former undrafted player, two-way player. Now he's got long-term stability with the Bucks. Alex, what do you think Green's role is going to be for the Bucks this upcoming season?
Hit threes, man. That's going to be his role. And he's looked great in the preseason. Has been launching up like 12 threes per 36 minutes in the preseason. I think he's very good. Like, he's an actual NBA player. He's not someone who's the Bucks are just getting, giving like, oh, he's getting $10 million a year because he's just one of our guys. It's like, no, this guy can play. And so I think he's going to fill the very stereotypical, like, Duncan Robinson, Malik Beasley, Bryce Sensabaugh, Sam Hauser, just name a guy. And he's going to hit a bunch of threes for this. Yeah. I think he'll get minutes in the high 20s, maybe low 30s if he ends up really standing out and some other guys on the team are not stepping up as expected. Although he's not really a fantasy guy. I'll close with that. Like, I would not be drafting AJ Green in fantasy. Let's close with some actionable advice. Don't draft in a standard league. It's probably not worth it.
So
It's
maybe
funny that $45 million is no longer like meaningful NBA money. It's like, oh, okay, nice reserve, $45 million. Okay.
So maybe like a 4-game week if you are desperate for 3-pointers in a deeper league. That's the type of option he would be from a fantasy standpoint.
I think it'd be a streamer. Exactly that. Yeah. Ken, let's talk about your rival, Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, some unsurprising news out of Philadelphia. 76er Paul George is unlikely to be ready for the start of the regular season, per Derek Bodner of allphilly.com. Thursday, so yesterday of this recording, Thursday was PG's first full practice. He's recovering from off-season surgery on his left knee. And for those of you seeing this big name of Paul George available late in your drafts, just remember, since leaving OKC after the 2018-19 season, Paul George has played more than 56 regular season games only once, including only 41 appearances last season. Buyer beware. Personally, I say let someone else enjoy Paul George's injuries this season.
Shannon, are you drafting Paul George in best ball leagues?
I am. That's the one area where I feel comfortable, but even in best ball, I need him to drop to about 100 or around pick 100, a little bit after. If he drops there, I'll snatch him up because it doesn't hurt. He's my 3rd or 4th forward, maybe my 5th on some teams. You know, it should be mentioned as well. Not only did he was only able to play in 41 games last year, and he wasn't that good in those 41 games either. Yes. 32 minutes per game, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's not the guy averaging in the mid-20s anymore, scoring that many points per game. If he's healthier this year, maybe he'll have a little bit of a bounce back, but he's aging, and the health is a legit concern.
Let's talk more about concerning health trends. Shannon, your Pistons had an unfortunate news update yesterday, which kind of came out of the blue. Jaden Ivey out 4 weeks with knee surgery to clear up discomfort, and it's unrelated to his broken leg from last year. So Ivey out a month plus. They said at least 4 weeks. Yesterday, Thursday, the Pistons played the Wizards, and Duncan Robinson got the start. Which I would not be surprised if that was the case. But I'll let you kind of I'll let you go on this, Shannon. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough spot because Ivey was in a good position to break out, similar to he was last year, and he was breaking out last year. He was in the process of doing so before suffering that leg injury. This delays that, and the Pistons don't have Malik Beasley, who's going to be an obvious fit to plug in. It's essentially going to be Karis LeVert, or Duncan Robinson, most likely. I do think Ron Holland could work his way in. And just from a fantasy perspective, if it ends up being Ron Holland, if he's the guy who can carve out 28 to 30 minutes per game while Ivey's out, I think he can have some interesting fantasy production because he will help on the defensive end. Is he ready? TBD. But I like Holland the most for upside out of those 3. Duncan Robinson, what he's going to give you, 3-pointers. LeVert will give you a little bit more of a well-rounded option there from a fantasy standpoint. And there could be games where, LeVert's still got a all-around skill set. He can score, he can facilitate. We saw him do that last year with Cleveland as well. So, when Mitchell was out or when Garland was out, LeVert still had some big games the last couple seasons. So he could pop a little bit, but it's going to be short-lived. It's not going to be consistent production from any of those options.
The Pistons need outside shooting, and I think we're going to see more of Duncan Robinson than we want to see, unfortunately, with this tragic injury. And what I'm scared about Ivey too is they said at least 4 weeks. It starts at 4 weeks. Ooh.
Well, both he and Duran are due for contract extensions, so I'm curious to see kind of what happens with that, because it's like if you're not going to extend these guys, they might be on the trade block and stuff like that. So But the Pistons have their guy. They have Cade. I'm not worried as long as you guys have Cade. All right, let's jump to our. Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's take a few fan feedback questions because the
that's right.
Fans are raising their hands left and right. Here's a question for a squad that's got Wemby in the first pick. For round 2, you guys prefer Jalen Johnson, Jalen Williams, or Josh Giddey?
I think if I'm pairing with Wemby, assuming you want to go with a punt build, I think I would go Jalen Johnson. And lean into defense, lean into the rebounding. And the thing about Jalen Williams, like, we don't know about his wrist. I feel like that's kind of I don't want to say it's being buried. It's being under discussed. Jalen Williams' wrist injury. He's still not, he still has a ways to go is our last update with his wrist recovery. So I think I would lean Jalen Johnson here if you're trying to pair with Wemby specifically.
I'm going to go Giddey. I like guards in that range. Round 2, I'm going to want to come out with the first couple rounds with a guard. I do think there's a drop off in guard in mid round 3, round 4. So give me Giddey. We're going to talk about him more later, but just tremendous upside, was absolutely fantastic after the All-Star break last year. You could have 2 top 5 fantasy players if Giddey and Wemby stay healthy. So that's where I go.
I think I'm in the Giddey camp as well. All right, next question. Thoughts on Curry as a first-round pick in a 12-team league? Categories.
I'm fine with that. I think the back end of the first round, I don't want to say you can do anything you want, but there are like 10 guys that you could take with any of those last 4 picks. And I think Curry fits into that range. So if you're a pick like 9, 10, 11, 12, I think Curry's still a fine first-round pick, even though he usually falls into the second, even late second these days.
Yeah, it's tough. Curry's ADP on Yahoo right now is 15.7. So he's getting picked 15, 16 range. If you really love him. Yeah. And if you really love him and you want to pick him at the end of the first round, that's okay. Because I do think there is a clear line where you've got the top 6, 7 guys who are probably going to go in every draft. It's not going to be too much different. Those top 6, 7 ending with like Ant Edwards and Cade. And then what happens from there, kind of personal preference. So if you like Curry more than Trae Young, I get it. I would go Trae Young or Devin Booker over Curry, but Curry is a safer option.
All right. And then along those lines from James, 14-team Roto. He's sitting on the 14th pick, so he's at the turn. Do you like a Curry Maxey combo or a Curry Chet Holmgren combo? Spicy.
That's tough. I mean, what do you think, Ken? If it's Roto, then you're looking for balance. You're not so like concerned about punting. Like if you were going to do a punt build, it's like, oh, go Curry Maxey because those guys are putting up the same stats. But the Curry Chet combo is that's kind of hard to ignore.
Yeah. Because there's no other centers right around there that I'm crazy about. So I think Curry Chet could be, obviously if Chet stays healthy, that could be awesome.
It's tough. I slight edge to Maxey Curry for me. But there are in a 14-teamer, there's going to be other options. Like Mobley, if Mobley's available, I like him quite a bit more than Chet. Mobley's ADP, we have him ranked as 18. His ADP's composite ADP is 27. He's going 19.5 at Yahoo. Sengun's going right there as well. Like if it's a decision between whichever of those guards you like more, and then Chet, Sengun, Mobley, give me Sengun, Mobley, and then Chet.
Yeah, Sengun. I'm sorry, I butchered that. Sengun, and I'll prove it because that's one of my later comments. I go Sengun.
Ken will prove that Sengun is a top 2 player this season.
Maybe proves too strong a word. All right. Well, I think that's it for our fan questions. What's next, Alex?
Our friends at Chalkboard. So if you want to cash in on your NBA picks this season, you can do so with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less on your favorite player stats to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players get $20 free with no deposit required. Yes, you heard that right. $20 free just on sign up. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold, hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today is your chance to win up to $40,000 on a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines and get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports, now available in 30 plus states. Download Chalkboard today. Use promo code ROTONBA, that's ROTONBA, to get $20 free with no deposit required.
That's Roto NBA at Chalkboard.
Let's talk about some bold predictions. We each have 2 of these lined up and maybe an extra from Vermont's own Ken K. Train Kreitz. I'm going to start off. As a guy we talked about a little bit earlier, it was a question between Jalen Johnson and Josh Giddey. I picked Jalen Johnson for a punt build, but I think Josh Giddey will finish as a first-round fantasy value. You know, preseason has not dissuaded me. He's not going to average exactly what he averaged at the end of last season when he was like the 6th best player and shooting 59% from the field and all the ridiculous numbers that you saw. But the Chicago Bulls are going to run their offense through Josh Giddey.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could average a triple-double or close to it. And everything has been improving for him. His 3-point shot has been improving. His free throw percentage has been improving. He's been getting to the line a ton during the preseason. He's picked up a lot of like those moves from the Jalen Brunson, James Harden types where they see a guy's hand just kind of hanging out into empty space and he throws his arm into the guy and gets a foul. So I'm totally in on Josh Giddey as a first round value this year.
And this is bold because his aggregate ADP across 4 sites is 24.
And it was later. He's been climbing, but you were able to get him in the 3rd round, I think, at the very beginning of draft season, and it continues to climb.
I agree with that. Alex. I'm going to move to my first bold prediction, which is Alperen Sengun of the Houston Rockets will be a top 10 player. His current ADP is around 25 on ESPN and 20 on Yahoo, but I'm saying he's going to finish in the top 10. RotoWire has him projected for 21 points and 11 boards each night, with for us has him ranked 34th, 8 categories in 1 center leagues. But I see huge upside in assists as a point center. Think like Marc Gasol, but without Mike Conley around on those old Grizzly teams. Sengun, a very small sample size, but he averaged 7+ assists in just over 24 minutes a game in 3 preseason games. And I think his percentages are going to go up and his assists will improve with Kevin Durant around. He's going to get some very easy dimes by just tapping it to Durant, who's going to hit that little mid-range bank shot over and over again. Also, remember, Sengun is durable. He's averaged 72 games a season in his 4 NBA years, and he played 76 games last season. Finally, maybe this isn't that bold because underdog fans agree with me. They have him at an ADP of 11. So to me, especially in 2 center leagues, Alperen Sengun is a no-brainer first-round pick.
I picked him at 8 in a best ball draft last night.
Nice.
I like mines.
We'll talk more about DraftKings best ball, but there's a reason on that format in particular. I like him at 8. My first bold prediction, we're going down to Nolans. Trey Murphy, forward for the Pelicans, will be a top 25 fantasy player this season. Murphy finished last year as a top 75 player based on total stats, but on per game basis, he was a top 30 player. Prior to getting shut down for the final few weeks of the season, Murphy had a 2-month stretch from mid-January to mid-March where he was a top 15 fantasy option on a per game basis. It's just across the board production for Murphy. He developed into a 21 point per game scorer last year. He's going to get you some rebounds, a few assists. He can get steals will be there. Blocks could be there. He's certainly long enough and athletic enough, has the defensive instincts to average over a block per game. And then the 3-pointers are going to be massive. He hit 3 3-pointers per game last year. I would expect his role on offense to be expanded this year. He's essentially the number 2 option for the Pelicans now. My hot take is on offense by the end of the season, he will be the Pelicans' #1 offensive option.
And
I love drafting Trey Murphy.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
an
Ken.
average ADP of 54 right now. So you can grab him 4th round easy and possibly get top 25 production.
I just drafted him 5th round in an expert in the industry pickup league after Denny Avdia. So I felt pretty good about that. Love Murphy this year. Not many guys with who can be in the 3-point contest and the dunk contest and who are good at basketball, and Trey Murphy fits that bill. My next bold prediction, my guy Alex Sarr will be a top 50 player.
He is your guy.
I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to read you his preseason per 36 numbers through 2 games. Doing it. 20 points, 15 rebounds, 3.5 blocks. And he's not really shooting threes anymore, which is interesting to me. I think his 3-point volume is going to decrease. This seems to be a point of emphasis. I'll watch the Wizards 2 preseason games. I keep mentioning it on the broadcast. Like, nope, Sarr's not going to take as many threes this year. He's going to be rolling to the rim. He's going to try to get dunks and layups and stuff like that. And I think McCollum and Middleton will help him do that. And he averaged basically 2 blocks a game last year in his limited time. And I think this is someone who could easily average like 16 points, 9-10 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, and do it relatively efficiently. And that should all add up to be a top 50 player in my mind. And sometimes he slips to pick 80 or 90, depending on what kind of draft you're in.
That projection.
Go
ahead, Ken.
They don't really have a backup center. And I think that's intentional. I think they want him playing 32 minutes a night. So he's certainly going to get a minutes boost. But what was your point, Shannon?
Yeah, I actually think those stats that Alex listed are somewhat modest. He could go well beyond that. Last year, he was almost droppable outside of the blocks, but anyone who's averaging 2 blocks per game and is still averaging 12, 13 points per game, there's going to be some value there. I also love him. I was going to have him be one of my bold predictions until I saw Alex already had him written down. I'm big on Sarr. I think the upside is ridiculous. The efficiency is actually where I struggle. Points-based leagues, I like him quite a bit more. But I do think we're going to see growth and progression in the sophomore season.
All right, we've been making a lot of positive sunshine and rainbow predictions. Where's the angry bitterness, I ask you? Where? It's right here, the crabby old man. And I'm going to go negative on a bold prediction. I'm going to say that Domantas Sabonis will be a bust this season, especially considering his current ADP that's a hair under 12th. This Kings roster is terrible. It's the 2022-23 Chicago Bulls, but with less motivation. I see why De'Aaron Fox got the heck out of Sacramento. Look, Levine, DeRozan, Schroeder, Monk, and now Westbrook, they're all going to shoot first and ask for forgiveness later. The over-under for Kings wins this season is 35.5, and I'm taking the under. I smell dysfunction and pain for this insane roster, and I don't think Sabonis is going to get the shots he deserves.
Well, and one thing I'll bring up, and I could have done this for other guys, but the NFBKC has their ADP page, and you can see where these expert leagues or the high stakes leagues, I should say, are where people are drafting guys. And I think centers are at a premium in that format, centers and forwards, and he has slipped to 22 in a draft over the past week, ADP of 14. Like you said, there are plenty of people who are just Sabonis is there at 18, and they're like, no, it's not the year for him.
Yeah.
All right, my second bold prediction: Shaedon Sharpe, guard for the Portland Trailblazers, will be a top 50 fantasy player. In his final 21 games last season, all as a starter, Sharpe averaged 21.5 points, 6.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 1 steal, and 2.2 3-pointers on 46, 76, and 29% splits. Scoot Henderson's out for the first month of the season, possibly longer, with a torn left hamstring. Sharpe
also
struck.
stinks.
We'll see. I still believe, Scoot. I still believe. Sharpe struggled with his 3-point shot last year, but as a rookie, a 19-year-old rookie, he shot 36% from downtown. I expect an improved stroke from distance, and his insane athleticism. I just feel like the defensive stats should be better, and I expect that to be the case this year. But very good chance he leads Portland in scoring this season, and that's not even a hot take, but he could be a 25-point per game scorer for that team and give you solid all-around production as a fantasy player.
And Drew Holiday is a very nice pairing for him, but Holiday is not gonna gun, right? Is going to be defensive first, pass first, point guard, setting up Sharpe for a ton of jumpers, and always in Holiday always guarding the better player in the backcourt on the opponent. I think Sharpe's going to be focused on scoring, and is going to do just what you said, Shannon.
Man, why don't you fire off your extra hot take?
Here's my extra semi-hot, semi-warm take. Josh Minott of the Boston Celtics is going to be a serviceable fantasy player in deep leagues. So if you're on a 14-teamer or you've got extra bench space, look, you don't even need to draft him. You can pick him up after week 1 or 2. Boston badly needs size and rebounding. The 6'8" Minott has had a very strong preseason and averaged 25 minutes a game. He's passing the eye test and getting praise from Coach Joe Mazzulla. He's a defensive menace, and he can hit corner threes. That's what Joe Mazzulla loves. If he can rebound well, this team is going to be desperate for rebounds. He can earn 15 to 20 minutes per night. But you don't have to draft him. You can take him free agency a week or 2 if you don't believe me. Or if you got a big, deep bench, take a flyer on Minott. I think he's going to eventually get meaningful minutes for the Celtics.
And I have one bonus bold prediction as well. Ryan Kalkbrenner, center for the Charlotte Hornets, will be a top 3 fantasy rookie. He's averaging 10 points, almost 8 rebounds, and 1.3 stocks in 20 minutes per game this preseason. He's also started the past couple games for the Charlotte Hornets. And the most recent game was with LaMelo, Miller, Bridges, Knueppel. It looked like that was going to be their opening night starting 5. They absolutely dominated that game as well, won by about 30, 40 points. Kalkbrenner's competitions for minutes, Diabate and Mason Plumlee. I'm not that worried about those two. I know Kalkbrenner doesn't necessarily have pedigree. I believe 4th pick of the 2nd round, right in that range. So they don't have to hand him minutes. They're not going to feel tied to where they select him in the draft, but they have a dearth of talent at the center position. So I love his upside. He's a 4-year college player, so he's a vet. He's probably older than half that team. So I like Kalkbrenner.
And almost 3 blocks a game his senior year at Creighton. They need rim protection. So giving him monster minutes does make a lot of sense.
Cheap blocks. Could be like a surprise Walker Kessler rookie season type production.
I like that. A lot.
Okay, we're going to transition to our DraftKings best ball segment. But first, ladies and gentlemen, a word from DraftKings.
Listen up. Our partners at DraftKings Pick 6 have a deal you don't want to miss. New DraftKings customers, this one's for you. When you play $5 or more on your first paid Pick 6 entry, you get $50 in bonus picks instantly. That's right. Play $5, get $50 in bonus picks to keep building your slips and take your shot at big payouts. Just tap on the link in the description below to sign up and start playing. If you've been thinking about trying Pick 6, now's the time to get in. Just use that link to sign up, and all new DraftKings customers can play $5, get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Let's build some slips. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 8887-897777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable. Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Ends November 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. See full terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right. Thank you to Nick Whalen for that ad read.
I did not know he could talk that fast.
He's a professional. This is what he
He
does.
is a pro.
All right. Shannon and I are going to talk some best ball targets. Shannon has more names written down than I do, so I will let him go 2 for every one that I do. I'm going to just kick things off very quickly. The guy I've drafted a lot, I think is actually my most rostered player, or close to, is Chris Boucher for the Boston Celtics. who I end up taking at the end of a lot of my best ball drafts because I have no idea what's going on in Boston's front court.
I don't
and
think
I
they do
actually
either.
think Ken doesn't either, and he loves this team. And I actually don't mind Keita and Garza,
I love
Hauser as
Keita.
options too.
Love Keita.
I think if you're playing in best ball and you're drafting however many leagues you're drafting, you got to get some piece of this Boston front court. I don't know what piece it's going to be, but we know for sure that Boucher can put up numbers when he gets minutes. And so all I need for him is to get 26 to 30 minutes. Maybe there's an injury or something and he steps into a bigger role. Love drafting him as like a backup to my backup in best ball formats.
Absolutely. DraftKings, their best ball flagship contest, $500K, shoot around $20 to enter, $100K to first place. It's October 17th. They're only about 60% full. There probably is going to be some overlay here. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend before the NBA season starts, I'm going to be in those draft rooms quite a bit.
So the listeners will definitely want to be in those draft rooms if Shannon's in there.
Easy money in those leagues. I'm just going to go for every one you toss out, Al. I'm going to toss out two of my favorite forwards to target. Buzelis with the Chicago Bulls, his ADP 68. Jabari Smith Jr. mentioned him earlier. He's been starting. His ADP, Jabari Smith Jr.'s ADP is at 124. Smith has been starting with this Rockets team, which I actually
just
didn't
gave him the
expect.
bag. Just gave him the money back.
Yep. And when they brought in Durant, I questioned what Smith's role was going to be. But he's out there. He's going to get tons of minutes. This team is solid overall, but I still believe in Smith's pedigree. I still believe that he's going to find himself in the NBA. At 124, there's like zero risk with that involved. You've got Jalen Green gone. Kevin Durant's a little bit older. Amen Thompson's not a proven like alpha player, the number one option on offense. Smith could still carve out a very, very nice role for the Rockets and earn well past his ADP of 124. For Buzelis, I'm not taking him 68 in categorical leagues. In a points-based league, I even struggle to pick him there, but I had to bring him up because I love Buzelis this year. In categorical leagues, he's going like pick 100, 108, somewhere in that range. But I am comfortable taking him in the 70 range, whether it's categorical or whether it's points-based like these best ball leagues. I just think he's going to explode for the Bulls. He's got Kobe White, Vooch, and Giddey there, but Buzelis is the long-term future of that team. So I think they're really going to put him in a position to succeed.
Love Buzelis. I've kind of been a Jabari Smith hater, but I have to admit that he's looked pretty good this preseason. And so hopefully there's more touches available for him. And 124, easy pick in a best ball situation. Another guy I've been drafting a ton is Kristaps Porzingis, partially because he is the type of player that I think is absolutely made for best ball formats. You don't have to worry about, like, oh, do I start him on a Monday? Then he gets hurt on a Wednesday. Is he going to rest? Any of that stuff. And so we know that he has second round, third round upside on a per game basis. And if I can have Porzingis be, my second big on a best ball team, that's fantastic. And I can always draft another one right behind him if I'm worried about it. Someone I'm totally in on in best ball formats this year.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point about bigs and DraftKings best ball. More so than other formats that are running similar best ball tournaments. DraftKings, the center position is extremely shallow. Most other operators will have Wemby, for instance, listed at center. He's a forward in DraftKings. Sabonis, similar. He's a center on most other formats. He's a forward on DraftKings best ball. So I'm trying to get two centers, even if I get a Wemby or a Jokic, Bam Adebayo, any of those guys early in the first few rounds. I'm trying to come out of the top 60 picks with two centers because pick 60, you're going to end up overdrafting for a center that's really not that great from a pure production standpoint. So I'm going center early. 2 out of my first 6-7 picks are probably going to be center in DraftKings. With that in mind, let me talk about some guys that aren't centers. All right. We've got Knueppel we're going to go 2 rookies on this round. Knueppel for the Hornets and Dylan Harper for the San Antonio Spurs. 130 ADP for Dylan Harper, 133 for Knueppel. We mentioned Kalkbrenner earlier. He's probably starting for the Hornets, or it looks like he's going to have an opportunity to. Knueppel, same thing. There's a very good chance he's going to be in the starting five for that team on opening night. Little risk picking him at 133. Harper, 130. I doubt he starts for the Spurs at any point in the first couple months of the season. Maybe, I mean, De'Aaron Fox's injury might open up the door a little bit. This is just more me tossing support to Dylan Harper, because I think a couple of years from now, he is going to be the number 2. He's going to be Wemby's Robin. Dylan Harper is legit. I love everything I've seen from him this preseason. I think he's going to be a star player in the NBA. What does that mean for fantasy production this year? Maybe the second half of the season, he explodes kind of like Castle did for the Spurs last year. This is just me throwing my endorsement to Dylan Harper. I think the ceiling is ridiculously high for him long-term.
Yeah, and the thing is, in best ball, you're drafting guys who, at this point in the draft, 130 plus, who all they need is one injury to a guy on their team, and then they're in some elevated role. Like if Fox is hurt for longer, if Castle gets hurt, etc., that's more for Dylan Harper. So that's kind of what you're looking for, I think. My last guy I've been targeting a lot in best ball, Brandon Ingram, has looked really good for the Toronto Raptors this preseason. Again, a guy who does not consistently play more than 60 or 65 games. I get not that worried about it in a best ball format when I have options to draft guys behind him. And we know he's a usage guy. We know he works well in points leagues. I'm just in on Ingram in a best ball format. Even in redraft formats, I'll take him at pick 80 when he's available, just because he puts up 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists consistently.
I'm fading Scotty Barnes just a hair because of Ingram's presence. We know he likes to have the ball in his hand a lot. I like Brandon Ingram a lot. And we don't know how much of his absence last year was just arguing with the Pelicans versus health.
Yeah, and once he got on the Raptors, they were not going to bring him back with their tanking plans. So I'm not,
All right. I've got 2 more best ball picks to highlight. Taylor Hendricks, I can't quit you. That's just all it is. He's 185. Honestly, if he wasn't having a solid preseason and apparently, looks to be locked in to the Jazz's starting lineup, even after Markin had made his preseason debut, Hendricks stuck in that starting lineup. I talked endlessly about Hendricks before his injury last year. Is one of my favorite sleepers. Again, I did not expect that to be the case this year, but he looks great. And I think he's worth the risk as one of your last 2 picks in the last 2 rounds. And another guy who's pretty much off the board, don't see him picked in many best ball leagues, but Danny Wolf for the Nets. Loved him at Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan. This is somewhat of a homer pick. He's just a versatile big. He can play, and who in the hell knows what the Nets are doing? I think there's going to be an opportunity where Wolf will be able to get minutes on the court just because the Nets are a mess.
The Nets are a mess. I think we can all agree on that.
That wraps it up for us, everybody. Thank you for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball podcast. Don't forget, we didn't mention it earlier, but YouTube 15, rotowire.com/subscribe, 15% off your subscription if you use promo code YouTube 15. We have plenty of premium rankings tools, articles, stuff to help you win your fantasy basketball league. And of course, you get other content as well. You play, if you're a fantasy baseball sicko and you're in like a 30-team triple minors dynasty league. That's a perfect reason to have a RotoWire subscription. You get access to the My Leagues tools. So if you play in like 5, 10 plus leagues, everything is organized for you. You know who's on the waiver wire. You know who's hurt in every single league. Immensely helpful. And also thank you to our sponsors, DraftKings and Chalkboard. Ken, take us out of here.
That's YouTube 15 to save 15% off your RotoWire sub. Fans of the pod, we will bring back our usual second half show shenanigans when the season starts. Have a great draft or auction.